Hello and welcome to the NTT20 betting show. The show is sponsored by Sky Bet. I'm your host today, George Elek, and after a torrid few weeks on the betting show, for which I can only apologise, we've decided to get rid of Maxwell and bring in the big gun. Welcome to Nick Goff. Goffy, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you? Good to be back, George.
Thank you for coming on. As I say, we need some help here because it wasn't that long ago that Ali and I were both in profit over the course of the season for our betting show picks. But the last few weeks have been disappointing. Last week, we only had one winner between us. That was the man who's quickly becoming known as the GOAT, Joe Taylor, scoring for Wigan at 3-1 for Ali. Apart from that, there were a lot of misses. My nap was a Millwall-Norwich double. Norwich obliged. Millwall were 1-0 up against Blackburn and had a man sent off, Zach Sturge. They lost the game 2-1, and that red card has since been overturned on appeal, which kind of sums up the way it's going for me at the moment, especially given that red card and that goal, those two goals also were a hammer blow to my club Oxford's chances of survival this season. But yeah, Goffy, how are you getting on? How are you finding the betting this season? How are you finding the EFL?
I'm finding the EFL all right. Subject not for this pod, but my Premier League betting, I had a real bad spell November, December. I was amongst the worst I've ever had, and that wasn't much fun.
Betting your team Wolves to win every week.
Yeah, not just that. I found the Premier League really tough, and I found it really hard to get a grasp on certain teams there this year, and I think the set piece stuff has made it a lot harder. I found the Championship all right. Championship's been my best EFL league, whereas last year it was my worst EFL league, and I think there's probably just some variance in there. But things do change year on year, and you do sort of spot little things in teams that you want to ride. Maybe you spot something early, good or bad, with a team, and that can help you have a good season in a certain league. So Championship's been good to me this year. And usually spring's my best time of year, so I'm quite confident that I'm going to go on and have a good end of season and good playoffs. Nice to be back on here, although it sort of takes away a little bit from my Thursday evening listening. I like listening to this pod on a Thursday night, and there'll be no point now because I know what's on it.
Maybe you can ask Ali to voice note you his selections so you can lie in bed on Thursday night and listen to the dulcet tones of Maxwell sending you to sleep.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, I should say that Ali has said that he is going to post his selections on the NTT20 squad, on our Telegram group, our Leveler group, over on the betting squad there. So those who are listening, who are members of the betting squad, can find Ali's tips, or his selections, his bets ahead of the weekend on the squad. If you haven't signed up to the squad and you're interested, just drop us a message and we'll let you know how you can do so. I should also mention that Goffy does the long shot with us, TLS, which is our kind of anti-post season-long tipping newsletter on ntt20.com. We're doing okay this season. A lot is still to come. Luckily, we've got Zamba Potnik in the book at 100-1 to be Championship top goal scorer, and Haji Wright in at 33-1. And so if we manage to get that beat, then we really are in trouble with those two miles clear of the rest. But all odds that we'll be going through over the course of the show are as per our sponsor Sky Bet at the time of recording. 18 plus only, and gambleaware.org. Do visit the site if you want to read up on the risks of gambling. Goffy, over to you. What is your nap? What's your best bet of the weekend?
Yeah, okay. My nap of the weekend is actually going to be opposing a friend of the pod, and I'm going to take Peterborough at 5-2-ish to win away to JJ's AFC Wimbledon. And
a friend of the pod and a friend of yours as well. So, it's a double whammy.
And I bought the last curry, so he owes me one, which if he's listening to this now, I might be off the list.
Yeah.
So let's start by saying what a brilliant job Johnny's done at Wimbledon this year. With the 23rd highest budget in the league, only Exeter had a lower budget to start the season, and they've never seriously been in the relegation battle. And when you know those budgets and you look at mid-table and you think at some point they might get sucked into this because, they're up against teams with a bit more firepower. And every time they've looked in a bit of trouble, they found another win, to the point now where they're almost out of it. Probably still need another win or so, but they're almost safe. And he's spoken in his press conferences after games about wanting to go and do something special for the club now and seeing how far they can go. And that's exactly the right thing to say. And no doubt in my mind that they're trying to do it. But it's bloody hard to do that once you know that your first season back in this league with that budget, staying up was absolutely everything, and they've done it. And then they did have a nice little run again a few weeks ago, but they've got beat in the last two. Any little chance of, a glory run for top six is now completely gone. And I do think they might just find the spring a little bit tough when they come up against teams at either end of the table, absolutely desperate for those points. There may be a little motivation thing in the back end of the season. I'm sure they'll be trying to avoid against it, but it happens in every league in every season to a couple of clubs. And Peterborough, another side who are going to be in the middle of the table, but the dynamics may be just a little bit different for me there, with Williams, who took over. His first game was in November and they won the first 4, really hit the ground running with a good squad of players. But then they played 9 league games in a 34-day period from late January to late February. The last 4 of those they didn't win at all. It looked like they just ran out of steam, having got secured survival pretty much. They were just shattered at the end of that, and then they had a 2 weeks break because Port Vale were in the cup, who they were due to play. So they had a complete 2 weeks off, going into to Orient away fresh. And I actually backed them for that game at Orient, thinking this is the right time to be with them. And they got beat 2-1 at Leyton Orient. Leyton Orient are a team who managed to find some results when it looked like they were in real trouble. And they've dug themselves out of it. Maybe wrong place, wrong time for Peterborough that day at Orient. They backed that up with a 5-0 thrashing of Rotherham. My sense is that Williams is really building a top 6 challenger for next season. And to do that, you want to finish the season, with some good results. Keep going right to the end. A few players there are still playing for contracts. I think Peterborough might finish the season well, while I'm not sure that Wimbledon will. Dons have been great at home, no two ways around that. And that's baked into the price here at sort of 11 to 10ish at home, suggesting that their home form is really factored into the prices. I wonder if they might just lose a couple of those home games coming up in recent weeks. And I'll take this as the first one. I think the price is fine to back Peterborough.
It was interesting. There was a moment before their midweek win over Rotherham, I think on kind of Tuesday around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, where Rotherham looked like they might even go favourites away at Peterborough, which was mad. And then the market went completely the other way, and Peterborough well backed and made the most of that. And with obviously the Wimbledon defeat in midweek too, it does feel like the both teams may be going in different directions. My best bet of the weekend comes in the Championship. Now, last time I put Watford up to win at home as my best bet at kind of a price around even money. It ended up with Danny Baker telling me to eat it raw fuzz nuts 48 hours later. So I'm interested to know which celebrity Leicester fan is going to come for me on Saturday night when Leicester, maybe it'll be Gary Rowett himself, achieve a famous win that's going to start their survival efforts. But I do think the 21-20, so a shade of odds against about Watford here, is really very good for 2 reasons. Firstly, Watford really impressed me midweek. Yet normally I'd be quite keen to take on the team that have a midweek game when all others have a game off. But I think in Watford's case, the changes they made to their 11 off the back of the 3-1 defeat against Stoke massively improved them. Ekwa coming in the middle instead of Mendy, Irankunda coming in on the right-hand side of midfield instead of Tom Ince, then Kieramgard coming back into the team 2 up front ahead of Semedo. Like, those are 3 big upgrades in terms of what they've already got. One of the players who I thought would be one of the standout players in the whole league this season, in Georgie Chakvetadze, hasn't been able to be that because of injuries. He is now fit and has a body of work behind him in recent times where he's now playing up to the level where I expected him to be for most of the season. And I still believe he is one of the most talented players in the league. And he's starting to show that. And they were brilliant against Wrexham. This is a Wrexham team who are fighting to get in the top 6, who were in the top 6 at the time of them playing each other, knowing that Saints were playing the next day. Wrexham didn't have a shot in the first half. And when their goal came through Cleworth, it was from a set piece. And the goals from Bola, from Kayembe, from Bove right at the end too, was exactly what Watford deserve for a really good performance. Lou Orns, who is a Watford fan, who's a friend of the pods and does some writing for NTT20.com, he posted some stats, kind of general stats around expected goals, final third entries, box entries and things under Ed Still since he came in compared to Gracia and the previous manager, Pezzolano. And in all of them, it's a small sample size, it's early days, but there is a rise basically in all kind of attacking metrics under Ed Still, and it does feel to me like he's starting to get a tune out of them. With Leicester, if you look at the bare results, it looks like Gary Rowett's getting a tune out of Leicester. But I've been, as I mentioned on the Monday pod, for those that listened, and I don't want to repeat myself too much, but Leicester's open play chance creation numbers are insanely bad. for a team possessing Jordan James, Abdul Fatawu, and Steffi Mavididi. Like, I think there's a fair chance that James and Fatawu will be playing in a top 5 league next season, in the top flight. You know, James could go back to Liga, Fatawu could easily get a Premier League move. And I don't think Rowett is necessarily the person to get the best out of them, even if Jordan James did score from 25 yards against QPR last time out. Their XG numbers in their last 5 games from open play are 0.41, 0.27, 0.13, 0.4 and 0.31. That is bleak. There is a reliance on set pieces there, which obviously they will be pretty good at. But then if you look at their defensive shape and them conceding from a set piece against QPR, I don't think we are getting the Rowett defensive improvement that we would expect. So I'm basically willing to take on the idea that Leicester are back or are better. I think if you stop them from set pieces, you stop them. And I think that if QPR can tear through them in the way that they did away from home, I see no reason why a Watford team with a really strong home record over the course of the season can't make light of them too. So anything odds against for me is a bet, and I'm very keen to side with Watford. 21-20. Huh?
Eat it raw.
Eat it raw. Yeah, what will I be eating raw this time? Given that I then put up Millwall last weekend and they did me, I feel like I'm just stuck in this spin cycle of bad beats. Right, next best. What's your next best, Coffee?
Yeah, my next best is going to be Burton Albion, draw no bet at home to Bradford City. Burton. Let's start with Burton, who in December and January went on a run of 2 wins from 13, fell down into the relegation places, and you thought there's 4 places to go down. You look around and think it's going to be quite hard for Burton to get out of this. But what an impressive little spell Gary Bowyer's had. Only lost 3 of the last 9 in the league, coupled with a cup run. They took West Ham to extra time. I've now got at least 6, maybe 7 teams rated lower than Burton in League One, and I do expect them to stay up maybe a little bit comfortably from here. On the other side, Bradford 4th in the league with a seasonal goal difference of +6. So they've been efficient and they've done well for a side that have just come into the league, but they're not dominant in the manner you might see from a team in 4th of 24th quite regularly. Their recent data is fine. And they've got an 8-point cushion to 7th place in the league, which is likely more than plenty. So I don't think they'll get caught now by the chasing pack. They'll probably be in the playoffs. Obviously, top 2's completely gone. But Saturday, the signs were there on Saturday. They played. Nigel Clough made a lot of changes Saturday for Mansfield, and the market went heavy on Bradford. There was a big move for Bradford from about evens to 170, when teams were announced. But the match stats don't back that up at all. Mansfield led for most of the game, and the XG is very positive Mansfield. So Bradford were disappointing. Made me wonder whether perhaps there's just a little dip coming for Bradford now that they know they can't get top 2. And this is a really tough away game for a side who haven't won many away games. They've lost 6 of the last 7 on the road, and they only wins at Port Vale. I'm not even sure if that counts. So I don't know whether they really deserve to be clear favourites for this game. So odds against, draw no bet, I want to be with Burton as my next best.
Yeah, lovely stuff. 11-10 with Sky Bet about Burton, draw no bet at home to Bradford City. I think Bradford fans will agree that their away record is one to take on. I'm going to League 2 for my next best, and I'm going to put up Crawley Town to beat Fleetwood at 3-1. A fair bit goes into this. Firstly, I know it's only the 19th of March. This game will be on the 21st of March, but this is a proper game between a Fleetwood side who cannot do anything this season beyond play for pride, right? They are on 51 points, right in the middle of the pack in League 2. They are not going to finish in the top 7. They are not going to finish in the bottom 2. And I think we're already starting to see a dip in terms of their performances, where they were beaten 1-0 by Grimsby. Yes, it was a 96th minute goal on Tuesday night, but Grimsby absolutely battered Fleetwood in that game, and it could have been a lot more. Their home 0-0 draw to Tranmere couldn't have aged worse, really, given that Tranmere then hosted Harrogate and were beaten 3-0. What I would say is that Fleetwood were by far the better team in that game and deserved to win it, but they didn't win it. They're winless now in 4. The other 2 draws coming against a Gillingham side, who also thrashed in their next game, and then a 2-2 draw against Cheltenham at home, another team with very little to play for. The fact that their manager, Matt Lawler, has now signed a new kind of permanent deal at the club, so that for him, that is job done as well. He'll be their manager next season. Doesn't really matter. He's not trying to perform in order to get a job for next season. So this, to my mind, just isn't a big game in any sense for anybody, apart from maybe Fleetwood players who are trying to impress the manager. But we've already seen the last couple of games that they're not playing particularly well. That couldn't be more different to the stakes here for Crawley, where Crawley are in huge danger of losing their EFL status, of being relegated back to non-league. And every game at the moment is massive for them. And having been so poor for the majority of the season, we are definitely now seeing some signs of life from a Crawley team, where if you look at squad quality, especially given half of these players were Crawley players 2 years ago and they won promotion out of this league, there's no denying, you cannot argue with the fact that Crawley have a much better team than Barrow, a much better team than Harrogate, and a much better team than Newport County. They aren't winning games at the moment, but they are drawing games, and they're in games at a time where a couple of weeks ago they absolutely weren't. Now, a 1-0 draw at home to Barnet is a decent result with a late penalty. They went to Colchester in a 0-0 draw, though there was very little between the two teams. They drew 2-2 at home to a Swindon side that normally see off the worst teams in the league, thanks to a 97th minute equaliser. It kind of feels for the first time like Crawley are up for the fight. So a home game with a team that are heavy odds on, where the game doesn't really matter up against a side who are starting to improve, where a 3 points would be huge. 3-1 seems big for me, and I'm putting them in as my next best. Goffy, I'm handing over the Acker swerve to you because I'm taking on Eggman duties. So who would you say that people shouldn't put into their accumulator?
Right, I'm going to talk. This ties in with your NB a little bit. I want to talk about the League Two relegation battle for my Acker swerve, and I toyed with staying in the Championship and looking at Hull against Sheffield Wednesday, just because I've got this gut feeling that Sheffield Wednesday are going to pick up a win somewhere when no one's expecting it soon. And my gut feel is actually when they do that, it's going to come away from home, like when no one's expecting it at all, away at a top six side like Hull. Just
hopefully not away at the bottom three side on the penultimate day of the season, please.
Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if Sheffield Wednesday go and get something in this game or in one coming up, but I'm not going for that about 1-3. It's probably about the right price because they are pretty damn bad. So I want to talk about the League Two relegation battle, which you've started on, because the four teams that are in the bottom four at the moment, there's little things that you can assign to all of them. You've
is it a 5 now? Like, I mean, Tranmere fans would say it's not 4, it's 5.
I think by Saturday night, this could be a legit 5.
Yeah.
What on Tranmere's side at the moment is it needs 2 of them to win a couple of games. And as much as they're improved, they're not winning many games. So not quite yet, but soon. Crawley, you've made the point about already. Barrow are on their 4th manager, which is never a good sign, is it? And under Mamria, the efforts look pretty concerning. The last 2, though, under Sam Foley, have been a bit better. They played well at home to Accrington in a 0-0 draw, and they were really unlucky at Salford, actually.
Yeah.
It's a bit unfair to bring on Fabio Barini to score a couple of goals, isn't it, when you're in that situation that Barrow are in. So Barrow are in trouble, big trouble, but there's been a few signs from them lately. And then Harrogate and Newport, who have been in there all season, we've all seen signs of improvement from both of them. Harrogate went on a 5-game unbeaten run in February, beat Cambridge, got a point with Bromley, obviously a huge win Tuesday night. And Newport, again, it's in the results. They went and won away to Salford and at Barnet. And they're 2 minutes from holding on against Bromley in a point that would have been thoroughly deserved. So in those 2 that have been in there all season, you can see the improvement. All 4 of these sides are away from home this weekend against teams that are odds on. So you could almost pick which one. I wouldn't put any of them in my Acker. Yeah. So if it's called Acker Swerve, well, I've got 4 for you. I'm only going to. I wouldn't put any of them in any bets at the prices they are. But the one I'm most keen to take on, I think, is Walsall under Byfield. Any little bounce they got from Sadler leaving and Byfield taking over came in that good win away to Shrewsbury. They were big drifters. Market hated them at home to Cambridge Tuesday night. They played okay in a draw. But do I want to be on them at 8-11 or something at home to a revitalised Newport, who nearly beat the best team, or the top of the league side at least? Definitely not. So I've chosen Walsall, but if you wanted to make it Grimsby against Barrow or Oldham against Harrogate or Fleetwood against Crawley, all fine with me.
Or Hull against Sheffield Wednesday. So you got 5.
5, yeah,
5 for the price of 1.
There's no Ackers this week. You can't.
You basically picked an Acker, just do the other ones. Yeah, there we go. So taking on Acker swerving a fair few there, and given this show's record with Walsall, I'm sure they'll now win they'll probably go 7-0 up and then draw 7-0 or something crazy. Right, I'm going to do goal scorer corner now, and then we'll hand over for your goal scorer, then I'll do the Eggman. I've got 4 goal scorers, which seems, because Ali does this a lot, so I thought I'd have a spin and try and land a goal scorer Yankee. I have no idea how I'm mistaking these, so I guess like I don't know, half point each, and then a small Yankee, which is 11 bets, doubles, trebles, and a fourfold. I'll start with Edo Kayembe, who scored in midweek. He's basically playing up front. He had 3 shots in each of the 2 games before the midweek win over Wrexham. He only had 1 shot against Wrexham, but it was a goal. He's someone that's played a lot of his football in centre midfield for Watford, and he's being priced up as if he still plays centre midfield, and he just doesn't. So he's 11-2. You know, it's a game that I've already napped Watford in. I'm already concerned about Leicester and their defensive capabilities. And assuming that Kayembe continues playing the role that Ed still seems to have outlined for him, then there's no way he should be that price. Yeah, next one is the Joe Taylor, who has scored in 6 of Wigan's last 9 games. Just ridiculous in terms of his goal scoring. He's quite clearly the focal point of Wigan's attack, and Wigan at home to Exeter. Huge game this, obviously, for both teams in terms of their survival hopes. Gary Caldwell hosting the team that he managed so well for so many years, and when he left them not that long ago, they looked safe, and now they don't look very safe, and it would be some story if a Wigan win here were to land a big blow for Exeter. But yeah, Taylor's a goal scoring sensation really at the level, and for him to be 9-4 given his current finishing streak is clearly big. Back up to the Championship again, Million Manhoef is a player that I was siding with a lot early in the season. Preston host Stoke on Friday night. Manhoef scored twice in the win over Watford last Saturday. He's someone that will score loads of goals. I'm still convinced there is a season relatively soon, unless he moves on, where Manhoef will suddenly get kind of in the high teens for goals because of the way that he plays. He loves drifting inside off that right-hand side. He's a decent enough finisher. He really struggled for form after a blistering start to the season. Well, blistering might be overdoing it. After a good start to the season. And he was in and out of the side with Raksaki coming in too. But after those 2 goals on Saturday, I think he's a bit of a confidence player. And again, the 7-2 is massive about a Preston side who look really poor defensively. And finally, Cameron McGeehan, 11-2 for Northampton away at Mansfield. Cobbler's obviously really struggling at the moment, but McGeehan is almost their biggest goal threat and isn't priced up as such at 11-2. Northampton had 4 shots in midweek in the 2-1 defeat against Stockport. McGeehan had all 4, which goes to show just how reliant they are on him for goal scoring. And one of them, of course, was a goal as well. So, he's a player that has proven quite consistently, especially at this level, that he's a goal threat. And he's always overpriced. And this weekend, away at a Mansfield team with who are certainly nothing to fear in terms of their defensive work. I'm happy to take that price. So Kayembe 11-2, Joe Taylor 9-4, Million Manhoef 7-2, and Cameron McGeehan at 11-2. So the fourfold there is about 617-1 with Sky Bet. So that'd be handy if that came in. But yeah, as I say, just kind of small singles and then a small Yankee is the way I'll be playing it. Goffey, who's your goal scorer?
I'm going to go to League Two, the game between Accrington and Chesterfield. I think along with Gillingham, we could say Accrington are the first sort of beachy club in League Two. And it was a real beachy performance and result in midweek against Notts County. And on my data in their last 8 games, Accrington have a third on the list of good chances allowed from set pieces. So we could oppose them on set pieces and with a player who gets some goals in open play as well. That player is a proper EFL stalwart, Tom Naylor, who's got 7 this season already. That's 5 from set pieces, 2 in open play. I think 6 headers and 1 normal shot. Throughout his career, he's been a 1 in 10 man for Burton and Pompey. And he's near a 1 in 6 for Chesterfield, now over 100 game sample. So just consistently scores goals, and he's in a spot here where the market has Chesterfield in for about 1.7 goals in the match. I wouldn't be surprised if they score more than that and win this game comfortably, because they need really to bounce back from this terrible result in midweek against the eye-catching Oldham. This game will be not in that calibre, you wouldn't think, of difficulty. They'll expect to go there and win and score a few goals, and a man who pops up quite often at a nice price is Naylor.
Good stuff. Yeah, maybe even have the Naylor and Taylor double for the rhymers out there. But yeah, Naylor, Goffey selection. What price, Naylor?
About 7-1 around, I think.
Okay, 7-1. I'll confirm that in due course. Right, time for an Eggman. Ali, he had to land an Eggman, and I would love it if I was the person to bring one home. Slipping into Maxwell's shoes here. The first two selections, Watford and my nap, are in there. Rather than putting Crawley up at 3-1, I'm going to put in Crawley or draw, which is even money, which is maybe more suited to an Aka here. Wigan are next in it. Extra under Matt Taylor, kind of troubling in terms of their performances, albeit they put in a decent display in a 3-2 defeat against Luton, but that would have taken a lot out of them in midweek. The Exeter to Luton, back to Exeter, then out to Wigan doesn't feel like an ideal week of travelling either. And Caldwell's side, well, Caldwell has certainly improved Wigan, even if they did concede very, very late against Barnsley in midweek in a game they went 1-0 up in. But they are much improved, and I fancy them to get a home win here. MK Dons are in there too. MK Dons, who are still 2 points off Bromley in top spot, but are looking to me to be champions elect. They host Barnet. I think there might be some value in basically getting against Barnet between now and the end of the season. They are a team that Goffey we've discussed a lot. We were both very sweet on them pre-season. They've posted some absolutely absurd numbers, but seem to consistently find a way to shoot themselves in the foot. And I think they're still going to be priced up as if they're one of the best teams in the league. But as the incentive and the motivation dwindles, because it looks increasingly unlikely they're going to get in that top 7, then I think there's an opportunity to kind of get away from them. And again, another disappointing result in midweek where they drew 1-1 with Crawley. But in that game, they weren't necessarily the better side in that. It wasn't the case was normal where they battered the opposition and still don't win. Here it was just a game between two relatively poor sides, seemingly, with Crawley getting the penalty late on to get the draw. MK Dons, you mentioned, as per your ratings, you have them as kind of a top half League One side.
Yeah, I think it could even be challenging for the playoffs the way they're playing at the moment. Yeah,
and if MK Dons were playing against a team of Barnet's, say, last 5, last 10 form, not just results, but form, then I don't think you'd be getting 10-11 about them against any other side that's a mid-table League 2 side. So they're probably next on my list in terms of the NAP and NB, and they're going into this. And then finally, and I'm sorry because I know people hate it when we do this, but I'm going to do the Friday night game and I'm going to put up Stoke. So this could be all over before we even get to 10 o'clock on Friday night if things don't go well. I just don't think that Stoke should be, I don't think Preston should be favourites at home to Stoke. I think Stoke are a better side. I think Robbins has certainly, we've seen a shift in terms of the way that they're approaching games ever since that 2-1 win over Oxford a couple of weeks ago, where a team that's early season success was based on having the best defence in the league. They continue to be pretty good defensively, but they lost a lot of their attacking threat. And the results turned. It feels like now there is a shift in terms of them taking the game to the opposition. They are, Sorba Thomas and, as I already mentioned, Manhoof and Gallagher in that 3-1 win over Watford are enjoying themselves. They were good in that game against Watford, up against a Preston side who looked to me to be 23rd, 22nd in terms of current team quality. I know that, Goff, you had a anti-post bet on them to get relegated and you feel a bit hard done by.
Well, they're not safe yet.
They're not safe yet. There you go. Yeah, they need, another couple of points. And the way they're playing, it wouldn't be a massive surprise if they don't get them. We saw Oxford go to Preston recently and turn them over 3-1 in a game where they were the better team. So I'm not really having Preston as fabs for this one. And if you read any of the kind of social media or forums around Preston fans, it's fair to say that they are certainly looking over their shoulder and working out if they've got enough points yet, rather than thinking they are done and dusted. So yeah, the Eggman this week is Watford, Crawley or draw, Wigan, MK Dons and Stoke, and that comes out to 41-1. Come on. Is it just the BTTS sixfold now? Great. Take us away. Who are your 3 selections?
Both teams to score in the game between Luton and Stockport, I'll start with. Luton 6 in a row now, both teams scoring, and their game's quite open, not high-scoring games. There's still sort of half a chance, aren't they, of sneaking in if they could put a run together that people thought they were capable of early in the season, but it's never really happened. And Stockport had a real un-Stockport-like blip and maybe just starting to come through the other side. Fancy them to score here, so I'll take both teams to score there. And then 2 in League 2, Tranmere Swindon, which is mostly about Swindon, who have no nils at all in the league in 2026, always score. They've only failed to score twice all season. And Tranmere in this real scrap with a new manager. Can't see them keeping a clean sheet, that's for sure, and hopefully we'll grab us a goal out of somewhere. And the third game I'll go for is Shrewsbury against Crewe. I use that beachy word a little bit again for Shrewsbury potentially. Now they're probably safe. Is this a little bit of a derby almost, Shrewsbury Crewe?
I think Shrewsbury Wrexham is the one that's the big one for them. I'm not sure if there's any. I don't know if there's any love or love lost between these two. If it's just loveless.
Okay, but Crewe have only failed to score once away in all of 2026. I fancy them to go and score. They're still in the playoff race. Probably won't get in. I've always struggled to sort of see Crewe hanging on against some of the other lights that are coming through with the stronger runs. But hopefully both teams will score there as well. So they're my three.
Good stuff. Yeah, my three. QPR Pompey is 10 to 11 with Sky Bet. Seems a huge price to me. QPR have been a friend of this bet all season. Still always priced up as if they're the low goal expectancy, despite Julien Stéphan having a pretty attacking mindset when it comes to games. Their form dropped off markedly, but then we had that 3-1 win against Leicester last time out, which is a bit of a return to some good attacking performances. Obviously a huge game for Pompey, where I would say a point doesn't really do them any favours at all. Anyone who watched the Derby game, yes, it was a 1-0 game, but they saw kind of the chaotic nature, I guess, of Pompey's current performances. And I think this should be pretty end-to-end. AFC Wimbledon against Peterborough at 8-13. Don's games recently have been crazy in terms of goals. 4-2 against Orient last time out. Had a couple of 3-3s recently, a 4-1 home win against Blackpool. Their games are just very, very different to what we saw last season under Johnny Jackson in terms of end-to-end nature. And Peterborough continue to be a team where we see lots of goals as well. Yeah, there was a win 2-0 in midweek, a 5-0 win over Rotherham, but that attacking intent with a young team, I think this is one that should be pretty high scoring, and that 8-13, even though it's quite a short price, appeals. And then finally, Notts County against Cheltenham. Cheltenham, just another team under Steve Cotterill who, with little to play for, seem to be enjoying themselves. A lot of end-to-end games, a lot of high-scoring games. Notts County, no trouble at all scoring goals. Their last home game finished 3-2, so also not a team that we can expect just to shut Cheltenham out. So the BTTS sixfold, therefore, is QPR Portsmouth, Luton Stockport, AFC Wimbledon Peterborough, Shrewsbury Crewe, Tranmere Swindon, and Notts County against Cheltenham at a price which I no longer have to hand, which is a shame, but I will work it out in a second. Goff, have you got your picks to hand? I should mention also Naylor's 11-2. So can you recap your selections for us?
Yeah, Peterborough's the nap away to Wimbledon. Burton Albion, draw no bet, I prefer there against Bradford as the MB. Goalscorer is Tom Naylor at 11-2. Accusworth is half the leagues. The official one is Walsall at home to Newport. And the BTTS 3 games are Luton Stockport, Shrewsbury Crewe, and Tranmere Swindon.
Yeah, great stuff. It's 26.12 to 1, the sixfold with Sky Bet. My nap. Watford to beat Leicester at 21-20. Will I be eating it raw or cooked on Saturday night? Crawley at 3-1 away at Fleetwood is my next best. Goal scorers at Okayembe at 11-2, Joe Taylor at 9-4, Million Manhoof at 7-2, and Cameron McGeehan at 11-2. The Eggman is Watford, Crawley or draw, Wigan, MK Dons, and Stoke at 41-1. And I'll run through the BTTS sixfold one more time. QPR Portsmouth, Luton Stockport, AFC Wimbledon Peterborough, Shrewsbury Crewe, Tranmere Swindon, Notts County Cheltenham. And that comes out to 26.12 to 1, I think it was. It's now gone again. Thank you, Goffy, as ever, for taking the time to fill in for Ali. Hopefully we'll get you back on again for the end of the season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, as ever, to Sky Bet for sponsoring the show. All prices were correct at time of recording and are subject to change. This show is for 18 plus only, and head to gambleaware.org to read up on the risks of gambling. We'll be back again on Monday. As I say, Ali will be posting his selections in the Not Top 20 betting squad. So those of you who are on there will find them there. And if you want to sign up, just send us a message and we can let you know how to join. Enjoy the weekend's football. Fingers crossed we have a better week and the Goffy brings us some winners. We'll see you on Monday for the Monday show. But in the meantime, go well.